You waste your life believing greatness demands giant leaps. Yet men are undone not by weakness of ambition, but by the refusal to sharpen themselves a fraction each day. Power is not seized in a single strike. It is carved silently 1% at a time. Today, I will show you how. The masses dream of sudden fortune, of instant transformation. They cling to illusions, chasing the fire of glory with no patience for the long burn. But the wise, the ruthless, understand that success is not a moment of triumph, but a discipline of increments. Like a blade honed daily upon the stone, the man who governs himself with relentless precision becomes untouchable. Each percent gained is invisible to others, yet accumulates into an empire of strength. In this lesson, you will learn how to master yourself as I would counsel a prince, without mercy, without indulgence, and without delay. You live in chains, no iron binds you. Your jailer is impulse. Think carefully, how many choices today were truly yours? Did you decide, or did appetite drag you? You reach for the phone, not because reason commanded, but because boredom whispered. You ate not for strength, but for the comfort of taste. You wasted an hour in idle chatter, though time is the currency of power. The truth is this: every man who cannot govern his impulses is governed by others. For when you cannot resist distraction, you are ripe for manipulation. When you chase pleasure, you pay tribute to those who designed the pleasure. History is filled with rulers who lost everything, not to armies, but to weakness within. Consider the downfall of the Roman general Mark Antony, a warrior of immense skill, adored by soldiers, feared by rivals. Yet he could not master his own indulgence. Cleopatra's charm, his own appetite for luxury, dulled his judgment. Rome devoured him, not by sword, but by seduction. Impulse conquered the man before Augustus ever lifted a legion. Ask yourself, are you any different? Who governs your actions, your mind, or your cravings? This is the tyranny of impulse. It whispers that you are free while chaining you to invisible masters. Merchants craft temptations, politicians ignite emotions, rivals bait your pride. And the moment you give in, you surrender command of yourself. To rule others, you must first be ruthless with yourself. And ruthlessness begins with denying the soft voice that tells you to indulge. Imagine two men. The first gives in to every distraction. He rises when he feels like it, eats what pleases him, spends as he desires. He feels free, yet he is a puppet to appetite. The second disciplines himself. He rises when he chooses, not when comfort dictates. He eats with reason, not craving. He speaks little, but each word is sharpened like a blade. Who has power? The one who is servant to himself, or the one who has made himself master? Psychology tells us that impulse is quick, emotional, irrational. It emerges from the oldest parts of your brain, driving you to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and conserve energy. But reason, the higher function, is slower, deliberate, calculating. The man of impulse acts first and regrets later. The man of reason withholds, watches, then strikes when advantage is certain. Which do you think commands more victories? The strategist waits. He knows the enemy will reveal himself when impatient. He knows rivals will overreach when pride blinds them. And he knows the masses will be trapped by their impulses, leaving him free to shape their destiny. Look at modern manipulation. Advertising does not appeal to your logic, it appeals to your impulses. Why? Because impulse is the shortest road to your wallet. Political rhetoric does not instruct you. It enrages you, excites you, terrifies you. Why? Because an impulsive voter is easy to herd. The tyrant of impulse is everywhere. And unless you rise above it, you will forever remain its subject. So how do you resist? By practicing small acts of rebellion against yourself. Delay the gratification. When desire rises, do not obey immediately. Step back, observe it, and ask, who profits if I act? Who benefits if I surrender? Each time you deny impulse, you reclaim sovereignty. Each act of restraint is a blade drawn from the hands of those who would use it against you. Yes, it is tedious. Yes, it feels unnatural. But greatness has never sprung from indulgence. It has always emerged from discipline, cold, relentless discipline. Think of Hannibal, the Carthaginian who led elephants across the Alps. His men suffered frost, hunger, exhaustion. Yet they obeyed because he mastered himself first. A leader who yields to impulse cannot command others through hardship. But one who conquers himself inspires men to endure the impossible. Now I ask you, what empire could you build if you seized back every moment impulse has stolen? How many hours wasted on trivial pleasure might have forged strength, skill, or influence? How many opportunities slipped while you chased comfort? The weak console themselves with indulgence. The powerful use indulgence as bait, a net for the masses. If you cannot see the trap, you are already in it. Remember this: freedom is not the right to act on every desire. Freedom is mastery, the authority to choose desire or deny it, to obey only when it serves your strategy. And so, I leave you with this command. Until you break free from the tyranny of impulse, you will never rise above the rank of servant. But once you do, once you rule yourself, you are ready for the next principle. The power of small, deliberate gain. 1% each day, invisible to all until the day you stand untouchable. Greatness is rarely seized in a single stroke. It is built quietly, invisibly, piece by piece. You dream of sudden triumph, of a day when fortune crowns you instantly. But such dreams belong to children and gamblers. The strategist knows true power grows in increments so small they appear meaningless. Yet over time, these increments accumulate into dominance none can resist. Consider the farmer. Each day he tills a little soil, plants a single seed, waters with patience. To the passerby, nothing changes. The field looks barren, but weeks later a harvest rises vast and undeniable. The same is true for your mind, your skill, your influence. 1% daily, so little, so humble, yet multiplied over months, it becomes a gulf between you and the complacent. Ask yourself, who commands in the end? The man who rushes with intensity for a week, then collapses? Or the one who advances steadily, never faltering, never ceasing? History is filled with this lesson. Rome was not forged in a single campaign. It conquered inch by inch, province by province, until the world bent under its weight. Its enemies underestimated those increments, thinking small losses harmless. By the time they realized, Rome had already enclosed them like a tightening noose. The same principle governs your life. Each day you improve yourself slightly, you advance unseen. Your rivals do not notice. Your peers dismiss it. They laugh at your discipline because they see no immediate glory. But when the gap reveals itself, it is too late for them to catch you. Psychology confirms this brutal law. The brain is rewired by repetition, not intensity. Habits carved into you through steady practice create automatic power. Skills sharpened by consistent effort embed themselves so deeply that they become instinct. While others rely on bursts of willpower, you rely on structure, inevitability, permanence. This is why incremental gain is feared. It requires patience, and patience is scarce. Most men are slaves to urgency, desperate for visible rewards. They abandon their path the moment results delay. But you, if you endure, become unassailable. Think of the art of manipulation. No ruler commands loyalty instantly. He nurtures it slowly, rewarding, withholding, creating small dependencies day after day. At first, the subject believes he still chooses freely. But over time, invisible threads bind him. By the time he notices he cannot escape, so too with your own power. You bind your future by steady fibers until it cannot unravel. Consider Genghis Khan. He did not unite the Mongol tribes overnight. He gathered one ally, then another. He offered spoils, then demanded discipline. Each victory brought him more men, more loyalty, more fear. What began as a single horseman became an empire that shattered kingdoms, not by sudden magic, but by relentless accumulation. Now examine yourself. Where do you seek sudden leaps? Where do you sabotage your own ascent by demanding results too quickly? You begin training, yet stop, because the mirror does not change in a week. You begin reading, yet abandon it because wisdom does not sprout overnight. You save money, then spend it, because wealth does not appear instantly. This is why you remain weak. This is why others, less intelligent, surpass you. Incremental gain punishes impatience. It rewards only the ruthless who endure repetition. To live by this principle, you must silence the craving for recognition. You must embrace invisibility. You must learn to improve in secret while the crowd indulges itself. Ask what could you achieve in a year, advancing only 1% each day. Not much, it seems, until you realize that 1% compounded becomes 37 times stronger after 12 months. And that is only the beginning. The years pass regardless. The question is, will they bury you, or will they elevate you beyond reach? Incremental gain is not glamorous. It is not dramatic. But it is absolute. It does not betray you, provided you obey it. It requires only that you rise each day and strike the stone once more. The blows seem weak, but the wall eventually collapses. Those who scorn this path remain forever mediocre. Those who embrace it rise quietly, until the day their superiority becomes impossible to ignore. And when that day comes, they are not merely ahead. They are untouchable. So I ask you, will you waste yourself chasing lightning that never strikes? Or will you carve yourself into a fortress, one stone at a time, until no rival can breach your walls? Remember, sudden victories collapse as quickly as they rise. But incremental power endures, and once you grasp this, you are ready for the next principle. How control over yourself becomes control over others. For he who masters his own progression, masters the progression of all around him. A man who cannot govern himself cannot hope to govern others. It is as simple as that. Your enemies do not need to defeat you if you defeat yourself. Your rivals need only tempt you with pride, with anger, with pleasure, and you will deliver your downfall with your own hands. But the man who rules his inner world bends the outer world in time. He becomes the master of the board, while the rest remain mere pieces. Ask yourself, who truly holds power in any gathering? Is it the loudest voice, the most aggressive speaker, the one who demands attention? No, it is the man who remains still unprovoked, observing all, revealing nothing. His calm unsettles the restless. His silence weighs heavier than their noise. He dictates the rhythm without lifting a finger. This is the secret self. Mastery is not simply discipline. It is domination disguised as restraint. For when you control your mind, your impulses, your emotions, you hold the strings that others cannot see. History gives us countless proofs. Take Alexander the Great. He faced mutiny when his soldiers demanded to return home after years of conquest. A lesser man would have begged or raged. Alexander stood before them and remained silent, letting their fear of his judgment spread like fire. Then he spoke. Not with desperation, but with icy command. The army bent, ashamed, and followed him still. Why? Because Alexander mastered his own pride, his own need for approval. He chose the moment of speech, and by controlling himself, he controlled thousands. Contrast this with rulers undone by temper. Kings who lashed out in anger exposed their weakness, and courtiers used it against them. A man who cannot endure insult becomes a puppet in the hands of anyone who wishes to provoke him. Do you see the danger? Every time you lose your temper, every time you beg for recognition, every time desire blinds your judgment, you hand the reins of your life to another. They steer you where they wish. You call it fate. Psychology explains this with cruel clarity. Human beings are designed to mirror one another's emotions. If you grow angry, others escalate. If you remain calm, they falter. Your control forces them into your frame, your tempo, your terms. This is not abstract, it is weaponized psychology. Your composure becomes a cage into which they willingly step. Consider the art of negotiation. Two merchants stand across a table. One grows impatient, anxious for the deal, eager to close. The other waits, sipping his wine, unaffected by silence. Who holds the advantage? Always the one who waits. For self-control creates pressure in the other until they concede more than they intended. Now, extend this principle further. In war, in politics, in love, the man who governs himself shapes the battlefield. He is not distracted by flattery. He is not enslaved by fear. He is not blinded by lust or vengeance. He sees clearly, and therefore he moves with precision. This clarity terrifies others, for it cannot be manipulated. Think of Caesar crossing the Rubicon. It was not impulse but calculation. He knew hesitation would undo him. He knew boldness, though dangerous, would seize momentum. Because he controlled his fear, he controlled the fate of Rome. Self-mastery turned into empire. And what of you? Can you be insulted without reacting? Can you delay gratification when temptation burns in front of you? Can you watch your rivals provoke you and answer only when advantage is certain? If not, you are their servant. They do not need chains. They only need your impatience. The truth is harsh. Most men will never rule themselves. They will forever be slaves to hunger, vanity, lust, and fear, and thus they are easy prey. But if you rise above these instincts, if you train yourself to endure where others collapse, you become untouchable. He who conquers himself commands the battlefield without fighting. He shapes the tone of every conversation. He bends others to his rhythm, not by force, but by the silent gravity of his control. And when you reach this level, manipulation ceases to feel like effort. It becomes natural, inevitable. Others reveal themselves to you because you no longer reveal yourself to them. So I ask again, who rules the room? Not the one who shouts, not the one who pleads, but the one who governs himself so completely that others orbit around his composure. Remember this, control is contagious. If you master yourself, others will bend unconsciously to your pace, your tone, your frame. And once they bend, you own them. This is the true power of self-mastery. To hold the strings without appearing to pull them. And now you must see the next step. If self-control enslaves others invisibly, what then of patience? How can endurance itself become a weapon deadlier than any blade? Men despise patience because they mistake it for weakness. They rush, they claw, they demand, believing haste makes them powerful. But haste blinds, and blindness is fatal. Patience wielded with intent is not submission. It is strategy. It is the art of letting others destroy themselves while you quietly sharpen your blade. Think of warfare. The reckless general strikes too soon, seeking glory. He exhausts his men, reveals his position, burns his supplies. The patient commander waits. He watches weather, studies terrain, lets hunger gnaw at his enemy. When he finally moves, it is not effort. It is inevitability. Which general would you follow? The one who burns out in brilliance, or the one who conquers without haste, ensuring survival beyond victory? History bows to patience. Consider Octavian, later Augustus, the first emperor of Rome. He did not rush to seize power after Caesar's assassination. He appeared weak, even fragile. He let Mark Antony rage, boast, and squander his strength. Octavian endured insults, endured doubt, endured the perception of inferiority. And then, at the right moment, he struck, crushing Antony at Actium. Rome became his. Because he understood this truth, patience breeds certainty, while impulse breeds ruin. Now turn your gaze inward. How often have you acted too quickly? You answered an insult with fury, only to regret the exposure of your temper. You chased opportunity prematurely, only to reveal your ambition before it was strong enough to defend. You confessed desire too soon, only to be scorned. All because you could not wait. Do you see the trap? Impatience reveals weakness. Patience conceals strength. Psychology makes this clearer still. Experiments show that those who delay gratification, those who wait, achieve greater success, wealth, and influence. Why? Because patience is discipline stretched across time. It is the refusal to be owned by urgency. It is proof that you are governed by reason, not craving. And when others see this in you, they hesitate. For patience unnerves them. They expect reaction, and when none comes, they lose balance. They overextend, filling the silence with mistakes. Your restraint becomes a mirror that exposes their lack of control. Think of manipulation. The skilled manipulator does not demand obedience instantly. He plants a seed, steps back, and allows it to grow. He lets suspicion fester, lets greed inflate, lets envy spread like poison. The victim believes the decision is his own. But in truth, the manipulator ruled him through patience. Patience, therefore, is not passive. It is active domination hidden in stillness. It is a weapon disguised as silence. Imagine a negotiation. Two rivals sit across a table. One rushes, eager to close, fearing delay. The other waits, letting silence stretch. Which one wins more often? Always the one who can sit longer in discomfort. For silence is a battlefield, and patience is its sharpest sword. Even in love, this weapon reigns. The man who declares himself too soon becomes predictable, controllable. The one who withholds, who delays, who makes his attention scarce, he becomes desirable, mysterious, powerful. Patience manipulates emotion as easily as armies manipulate terrain. Now ask yourself, do you endure, or do you betray yourself by acting too soon? Can you wait while rivals expose themselves? Can you stay silent while others drown in their own words? Can you delay gratification long enough for your advantage to mature into certainty? The weak cannot. They demand now. They crave applause, victory, comfort, resolution, and so they stumble into traps, abandon strategy, and destroy their future for the illusion of immediacy. But you must not be weak. You must become a shadow, willing to wait in the dark until the exact moment comes. For one strike at the right time outweighs 100 strikes too early. Remember, fortune does not reward the fastest. It rewards the most enduring. The river carves mountains not through force, but through patience. The spider does not chase prey, it waits, motionless, until the fly ensnares itself. So too must you be. And when you master this weapon, others will hate it. They will call you cold, distant, calculating. But secretly, they will fear you. For they cannot rush you, they cannot provoke you, they cannot read you. And that fear is the foundation of power. So embrace patience. Make it your shield, your sword, your unseen fortress. Let others burn themselves in haste while you advance silently. And once you learn to wait, you are ready for the final transformation. To become untouchable, a presence so disciplined and relentless that no rival can ever hope to pierce you. What does it mean to be untouchable? Not to be loved, not even to be feared, but to exist beyond reach, where no rival can harm you, no insult can wound you, no betrayal can undo you. Most men live fragile lives. Their pride depends on praise. Their peace depends on comfort. Their strength depends on circumstance. Touch these things and they crumble. But the untouchable man, he is carved from a harder stone. He does not beg for validation. He does not rely on chance. He builds himself so deliberately, so relentlessly, that others cannot find a weakness to exploit. Ask yourself, what is your weakness? What can others take from you to break your resolve? If they removed your wealth, would you collapse? If they mocked your reputation, would you rage? If they withheld affection, would you crawl back? If so, then you are still bound. To become untouchable, you must make your foundation unassailable. This begins with discipline so ruthless it terrifies others. Because most men cannot endure it, they cannot even comprehend it. And what they cannot understand, they cannot defeat. History proves this truth. Consider the Stoics of Rome, Seneca, Marcus Aurelius. Their power was not in wealth or armies, but in their refusal to be broken by fate. Fire, exile, betrayal, none could shake them. Because they ruled themselves completely, they became immune to fortune. Even death lost its sting against men who welcomed it with calm. Contrast this with emperors undone by weakness. Nero, consumed by vanity and indulgence, became a slave to paranoia. His enemies did not need armies, his own fear destroyed him. The untouchable man never suffers this fate because he has nothing soft for enemies to pierce. Think of modern power. The businessman who controls himself in crisis holds advantage over competitors who panic. The politician who shrugs at insult rises above opponents who waste energy defending their pride. The lover who does not chase becomes irresistible to those accustomed to neediness. In every sphere, untouchability is domination. Psychology confirms this. Humans seek leverage. They test, they prod, they exploit vulnerability. But when they discover a person who cannot be provoked, cannot be bribed, cannot be lured into weakness, they recoil. They sense danger because such a person cannot be controlled. This is your goal, to strip yourself of obvious weaknesses, to turn pain into fuel, rejection into armor, solitude into strength, so that when others look for entry, they find only stone. But beware, untouchable does not mean isolated. It does not mean cold indifference to the world. It means calculated distance, selective engagement, and absolute mastery over your responses. You must interact, but on your terms. You must fight, but at your chosen moment. You must give, but never from need. Consider the chess master. He moves piece by piece, appearing cautious. Yet every step is deliberate, until the opponent realizes too late that they are trapped. The master was untouchable from the beginning. Not because he never risked, but because every risk was calculated, every weakness protected, every sacrifice intentional. So too must you be. Never let others see desperation. Never reveal your true hunger. Speak less than you know. Promise less than you can give. Show nothing you are not prepared to lose. Then watch as those around you exhaust themselves, striking at shadows. Ask yourself what happens when a man becomes immune to flattery, to fear, to insult, to temptation. He becomes something others whisper about, something they cannot predict, something they cannot sway. He becomes inevitable. This is not invincibility. Invincibility is an illusion. Every man can fall, but untouchability is the art of removing easy weapons from your enemy's hands. It is not perfection. It is control. And when you live with this kind of control, your very presence unsettles. Rivals hesitate before opposing you. Allies cling tighter, fearing your absence. Even fortune itself struggles to strike a man who does not flinch when struck. Now, look inward again. What in you is still touchable? Where can the world still pierce you? Do you have the courage to strip it away, piece by piece, until nothing remains but what you choose to reveal? For that is the final task. To become untouchable is not to hide from the world. It is to confront it so fully that the world no longer has power over you. And once you reach this state, you do not merely survive. You dominate by existing. You become a force others must calculate around, like a mountain or a storm. This is the final weapon. And once you wield it, you will never again be the hunted. You will always be the hunter. Power is not taken by force alone. It is taken silently, through influence so subtle your prey does not realize they are bound. You have learned this. Control begins with the self. Once you rule your impulses, your patience, your very mind, you rule the choices of others without their knowing. They will believe they act freely. They will believe their decisions are their own. Yet every step they take will lead exactly where you intended. This is the essence of invisible domination. Not noise, not display, but silence, calculation, control. Ask yourself, will you remain among the ruled, moved by unseen strings? Or will you become the one who pulls them? If you are ready to sharpen this path further, then act now. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Let your voice be measured. Subscribe if you would learn more strategies the weak dare not confront, and share this video so others too may unknowingly spread the very lessons that place you above them. The choice, as always, is yours.